So, is Nebius the big play in the AI revolution, or is it just a massive, hype-fueled bubble that's about to pop? Today, we're going to dig into one of the most talked about, most controversial stocks in tech to figure out if this is a golden ticket or just a catastrophic gamble. I mean, just look at this. This one slide tells you pretty much everything you need to know about the Nebius paradox. On the one hand, you have this absolutely staggering 547% year-over-year revenue growth. It's almost hard to believe. But then, on the other hand, you have a catastrophic $250 million loss in the same 3 months. This is the core conflict, and it's what makes this stock so fascinating and so risky.
So what's really going on here? As an investor, are you looking at a company that's building the literal foundation of our AI future, a real once-in-a-generation opportunity? Or are you looking at a spectacular house of cards, just burning through cash at a rate that's completely unsustainable? We're going to break it all down, lay out all the facts, so you can decide for yourself. But before we even get into the financials, you have to understand the wild history of this company. Yeah, this is not your classic startup in a garage story. Not even close. This is a story about international politics, a complete corporate reinvention, and some incredibly high-stakes decisions that have shaped everything about where the company is today. I mean, this timeline, it tells a pretty epic story of corporate survival and total rebirth. Nebius started out as Yandex, which was basically Russia's Google, a huge tech darling. But in 2022, its whole world got turned upside down, and it was kicked off the NASDAQ. The company had a choice: just disappear or do something totally radical. And boy, did they choose the radical path, selling off their entire Russian identity for billions to be reborn as Nebius, a Dutch-based global AI company. This isn't just a simple name change, it's a complete break from its past, and that is absolutely crucial context for understanding the risks and the ambitions of this company.
Okay, so what does this new reborn company actually do? Well, they're in what you might call the neo-cloud business. And think of the AI boom kind of like the old gold rushes, you know? While everyone was out there frantically digging for gold, the people who really made a killing were the ones selling the picks and shovels. Well, that's exactly what Nebius is trying to be for this AI gold rush.
And look, this is a really important distinction. The traditional cloud platforms, from Amazon or Google, they were built for a different era of the internet, for things like hosting websites or storing your photos. But trying to train a huge AI model, something like a GPT-4, that's a totally different ballgame. It needs a special kind of environment, one that's built just for it. And that's what a neo-cloud is. These massive data centers packed to the brim with the most powerful GPUs, all connected by super-fast networks, and engineered for one thing and one thing only: AI.
And don't think they're just renting out servers. No. They're going for the whole shebang. They're trying to be a one-stop shop for anyone building AI. They've got the core cloud infrastructure, specialized software to run models efficiently, and platforms that make it easier for developers to get their work done. And when you add in a deep, powerful partnership with NVIDIA and new AI factory data centers popping up all over the world, you can see they're building a whole ecosystem from scratch.
And this quote right here just shows you how big of a deal that partnership is. When Jensen Huang, the guy who's basically at the center of the entire AI universe, gives your company an endorsement like this, people listen very, very carefully. He's not just saying they're a good customer. He's saying Nebius is building the future, and they're using NVIDIA's best tech to do it.
All right, now for the fun part, the bull case. This is exactly why investors are throwing billions at Nebius, even with all the risks. So buckle up, because these numbers, they're pretty wild.
Okay, let's just start with this. Look at this chart. You're seeing revenue that's more than 6 times bigger in just 1 year. A 547% year-over-year growth rate, that's the kind of hyper-scaling that defines a generation of tech companies. It tells you that the demand for what they're selling isn't just growing, it is exploding.
So where's all this growth coming from? Well, from the biggest names out there. Nebius has locked in these huge, multi-year contracts with tech giants, including a deal with Meta that's worth up to a mind-boggling $27 billion. Think about that. This isn't just speculative growth. This is billions of dollars in secured revenue from the very companies that are leading the AI race. And if you thought those massive contracts were something, get this. NVIDIA themselves put their money where their mouth is, investing $2 billion straight into Nebius. This is way more than just a vote of confidence, it's a strategic partnership. It shows that NVIDIA trusts Nebius to use their most valuable, cutting-edge technology at a massive scale. So, what does all this add up to? Well, it leads to the company's incredibly bold target. They're aiming for $7 to $9 billion in annual recurring revenue by the end of 2026. For the bulls, this isn't just hype, it's a clear roadmap, backed up by real contracts and powerful partners to becoming a true giant in the industry.
Okay, but for every rocket ship story, there's always another side, right? And for every bull, there's a bear hiding in the woods. And the bear case for Nebius is just as strong, full of some serious red flags that are making a lot of investors very, very nervous.
All right, let's just park on this slide for a second, because this is where the picture gets a little murky. Their latest report shows they missed expectations on both earnings and revenue. But the real jaw-dropper is that last line, CapEx, capital expenditure. That's the money they're spending to build things, like huge data centers. They spent $2 billion in a single quarter. That is an insane amount of money, and it's what's driving that huge loss we saw at the very beginning.
And it's not just about the spending either. The bears have a whole laundry list of worries. You have top executives selling off millions of dollars of their own shares. The stock itself is wildly volatile. It has a beta over 4. Now, beta just measures how much a stock swings. A 1 means it moves with the market, a 4 means it moves 4 times as much. Huge swings, up and down. You add in a high valuation, and the fact that social media sentiment has started to turn sour, well, you've got the recipe for a very high-risk investment.
So here we are. We've got two totally different stories, right? The hypergrowth rocket ship on one side and the cash-burning machine on the other. And both of them are backed by real numbers. So how do you, as an investor, make sense of it all?
Let's just lay it all out, side by side. The bull case is simple. This is a leader in a brand new category. They're validated by the biggest names in tech, and they have a clear path to enormous revenue. But the bear case is just as simple. It's a company that is spending an unbelievable amount of money, missing its own targets, and maybe even showing signs that its own leaders are cashing out. Look, at some point, one of these stories is going to win out. They can't both be right forever.
So it all comes down to this. Nebius is a pure, high-stakes bet on the future of AI. For anyone looking at this long-term, the question isn't just, will they succeed? The real question is, are you willing to ride out this insane volatility for a potentially massive payoff? The future of AI is still being written, and with Nebius, you're betting on who's holding the pen. That's the bet, and that choice, well, that's up to you.